Oh, wait. Okay. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome you to our live today. Our topic today is going to be equity versus equality. And we have a great discussion today. And I'll go ahead and introduce, and then we'll get started. Let me see. Oh, hold on. Let me go right quick. Okay, now we're good. Okay, let me redo it again because we want live on Facebook right then. All right, take one. All right, so hello everyone, welcome to our conversation today. Our topic today is equity versus equality. So we will get further into it, but we'll go ahead and do our introduction. I am Terrence Johnson, the Life Excavator.
I'm Kendrick Bailey, the Life Doctor.
And I'm Jeffrey Hart, the Life Champion.
Okay, so this topic, equity versus equality, was something that was discussed. Well, Jeffrey brought it up in our Thursday discussion, and we thought it was something good. And he also did a post in our Take the Journey group. So we decided that it would definitely be something that other people need to hear, and something that will be a conversation that will be of value to add to conversation that other people have been having. So I will let Jeffrey go from there.
All right, so I'm quite sure by now, most people probably have, seen the picture or seen a similar picture of that, depicts equality versus equity. And one of them is, let's say, myself and my two children are at a fence and we trying to look over, see a game or see something like that. Well, um, we all, are varying heights. So I would need e- equality states that everyone would get the same height of box to stand on to look over the fence. Well, with me being taller than my two children, I can step on the box and see over it. But with them being shorter than I am, with the 1 foot box, we'll say they won't be able to see. Well, equality states that no matter how tall you are or whatever, everyone gets the same height of box.
Mhm.
Well, equity is okay. Yeah, I'm taller than they are, so I wouldn't need I guess, a taller box in order to see over the fence. They would need a taller box. So, like I said, my son, he's like 4 feet or something like that, so he would need a box or something to stand on so he can see over. Then my daughter, which is she'll be one later on this week, so she only like a foot and a half, so she would need an even greater box in order to see over it. So that was just kind of the visual that I gave, and to be honest, I got that from my wife. She went to a training last year or so, and she was the one that came back and told me about that. And yeah, I was blown away ever since then. But it kind of, in today's environment, whatever, that kind of it kind of fits. You know, it's basically do we want equality or do we want equity?
Okay, so here's the visual for that too. So I kind of got the visual. So that's the visual for what Jeffrey was just talking about. Uh, and so as you see, like he was saying, for the equality, and we were all equal and had equal footing, that doesn't mean that we could have the same perspective or we could see what we needed to see. Or we could see like what's on the horizon for each one of us. But with equity, it kind of goes into what our actual needs are and trying to provide that leverage or that support for that. So yeah. I didn't want to cut you out. That's why I didn't put it up until you got through talking.
Oh, no, you good, man. It probably would have helped.
Hey, yeah, but you were going so good. I didn't want to let you go. I didn't want to impede your progress. So but I think that's good because we've been like I said, we hear equality a lot, and we've heard it a lot. Some of us we heard it all our lives, but equity is something that we've not heard about
Yeah.
a lot, or it's not talked about a lot. And so I think, especially one of the things that goes along with the equality part is I know a lot of people have heard in response to what everything's been going on, like, well, all lives matter, like we're all equal, like all of us, we all go through things, but that minimizes the experiences or the hardships of specific people. So if you say that everybody's equal, then you're saying that everybody has the same experiences, and that's not true, because we all have different points of views, and we had different experiences, and we've had different hardships, in spite of uh, what other people might view us as, or might say that, like the other aspect of it is, well, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Like, well, as long as you do the hard work, you'll get to where you're supposed to get to.
But what if you don't have boots?
Good.
Because everybody has their own different, everybody wears different shoes. So,
Right.
Everybody's journey is gonna be a little different. Some
Mhm.
people have comfortable shoes, some people don't, and so I think that picture was really important to grasp, well, to depict what we wanted to, point out: equity versus equality. And what I want to say is, anybody can experience this piece with equity versus equality. Just what we're seeing today, in today's current, situations. We look at it, as people want, equity, because some of the things that you experience, at some point, it has an expiration date. We talk about, having expiring times, expiring seasons, and the need for change and reform. And I think, we have to be part of the solution in having these talks, but we need everybody to understand that everybody has their own perspective and piece in how they see it. And we don't need to minimize someone's experiences. And one of the things I said on live is that's one of the worst things we could do to people, if we can put them on mute. We can minimize their experience, what they feel, and not allow them to voice their concerns, because allowing somebody to voice their concerns is an important part of the process. Because if people are always on mute, then they have all this pent up, frustration, hurt, sadness, disappointment. They have a series of emotions, and I think it's important for us to allow people to experience their emotions, and talk about the pain of their experiences, and to talk about the change that they want to see, because there's nothing wrong with change. So.
Yeah. All right. So I wanted to hit on what Jeffrey said before, and then a little bit about what Kendra just said too. So with the bootstraps, how okay, if a person was on the other side of the conversation, so if they were the person that said, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, what could be a response to then get the full perspective of a person that may not be able to, their boots might not take them as far as somebody else's boots?
I think so. One of the
Right.
things,
It's a different.
oh, my bad. I thought you just asked me in general. Go ahead, Jeffrey.
Now, can you repeat that question, man?
Okay.
Okay, I wouldn't.
Yeah, I thought you just asking a general question, Jeffrey.
All right. So, well, I said it different. All right. So with the bootstrap, what if somebody tells that, just say for instance, somebody tells you that, like you say, like, hey, I haven't had the same experiences. Like, well, you can put yourself up by your bootstraps, or you take the initiative, you can get to where you want to get to. What would your response be to that?
Well, like I said, well, first of all, I mean, do I even have, have a pair of boots?
Mm-hmm.
So what if, what if I've never been gifted a pair of boots to even begin to pull myself up with?
Mm-hmm.
So, but I think it's easier, when you've already been given a head start in life. I mean, it's easy to tell somebody, hey, you need to pull yourself up by your bootstrap, because you don't know any different from, you don't know what it feels like to not have them, basically. Mm-hmm. So, like, what would I tell them? I'm not sure exactly what I would tell them right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll circle back to that one.
Yeah.
All right. So you were talking about, don't minimize their experience. And we kind of had this conversation with Dr. Bruce. And I do want to eventually share some of that conversation we had with him Friday, because I think that was a powerful conversation in itself. But one of the things okay. So in your eyes, what would be a way that somebody could minimize like your experience or how you process and what's going on now?
So in the military, we got a saying, suck it up and drive on. Mm-hmm. So regardless of what, hardships or pain that you're, going through, hold that in and keep on pushing. So that's telling me that my experiences, really, don't matter, because the thing that really matters is the mission or the task ahead. Mm-hmm. And so, we tell, people that all the time, but that may be a harsh way to say it. Sometimes, people say, hey, baby, it's going to be okay. And so that could be saying that it's not okay to be, in the current situation, or just, just pray about it, or it's going to move on. So it's multiple ways that we can tell people, minimize people experience, because the key with minimizing people experience is we don't allow people to be, mm-hmm. or we don't, sometimes we don't let people give themselves to permission to be in their current situation, because we tell them life goes on and you got to keep on, moving in order to survive or thrive or make it.
Mm-hmm. And one of the other parts to kind of piggyback off that is, if a person doesn't understand my pain, then I'm never heard. Mm-hmm. And I don't feel heard if they don't understand my pain. And a lot of people, they've been reacting to what people have been doing, but not why they've been doing it.
Yeah.
And for all of us, the reason why we feel the way we do, because it hurts us. It hurts us to watch it. It hurts us to listen to certain things. It hurts us to read the comments of other people that may not want to hear what people have to say. And it's a human thing that is really the why.
Yeah.
Because all of us want to be respected. All of us want to be appreciated, acknowledged, but also valued. Yeah. And we have worth. And if just our presence is not worthy enough to live or to have life, or feel that our life is valuable, then that's a pain point for us, because it's like, well, that could have been me. That could have been any of us. Yeah. That, we could have just been going about our daily routine.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, because our appearance, our presence is not deemed valuable, then whatever happens to us is almost like it's almost kind of like dismissed. It's like, oh, something must have been done to cause it.
Yeah.
And that goes into the minimization too, because it's like we caused our own demise.
Yeah.
Just by being ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I guess how do we get people to, I guess, step into, our situations or our experiences so that they can understand what it is that we've gone through?
Okay. I was watching a conversation earlier today. And like we all watch Michael Todd, sermons and stuff. We all enjoy his messages and stuff. And he had a conversation with it was him, it was his father, it was the minister who founded the church that he pastored now, and then one of his pastors. And they were talking, and he was talking about privilege. And he was like, oftentimes when people hear like white privilege or any kind of privilege, like, oh, well, I'm not that. I don't operate from privilege. But it's not saying that you operate from it in a negative sense, but you got to acknowledge that it's there. So what the vision that he gave was, he's like, okay, he had everybody on the panel, if they were right-handed, to raise their hand. And then he was like, okay, if you're left-handed, raise your hand. So like his dad was the only person that was left-handed. So he was like, if you go into the school system, desks are made for right-handed people. And so they got an advantage because they're the majority. But he was like, left-handed people have a struggle because a lot of the things that are designed are not designed with them in mind. And he was like, that's the whole picture of like systemic racism, or just how systems were put in place to work for a majority of people. Because a lot of times the minority is not thought of first, we're afterthought. And so like whatever policy, whatever procedure has been in place, they add us to it eventually. But it wasn't created with us in mind. And I think that's like a real good visual to understand. Like, it's not saying that the privilege is wrong, but you got to understand that certain things were built to not appease, but it was built with you in mind and not in mind. So,
no, man, that's a good point. I want to hit back on something that Terrence mentioned earlier, and I'm just going to hit on it real quick. One of the things, trauma. And so what's happening right now is a lot of people are being triggered by their own trauma because they keep re-experiencing it through what they see. And that's why a lot of people have all these emotions that, that they're going through, because everybody has their own trauma. And when people are being told to, shut up, or, that you can't do something, like I said, everybody can experience a time in their life when they weren't allowed to do something, or what they were doing wasn't well received. And so then the other piece was the role reversal. I think, you brought it up, Jeffrey. I think we have to step into other people's shoes, and sometimes physically, or or empathetically. So physically try to put on somebody else's shoes and see what it feels like. They may not be as comfortable as your shoes because you're used to walking in them. They don't feel different. They might feel a little awkward. Like acknowledge what that experience is, and so that's a simple way to see what it's like, and vice versa. Have that other person try on their shoes too, because you get different perspectives. If we only see things from our perspective in life, then we're missing out on a lot, because we've learned from people, and everybody has something different within them that they can share.
Mm-hmm. And one thing, as you were talking, one thing I wrote down and circled. So it's one thing to have a desire to kind of walk in somebody else's shoes if your intent is pure. Because a lot of times, and especially now, what people are doing now, they are doing things or choosing actions because it's the thing to do now. It's the thing that everybody else is doing. And so if your intent is to kind of position yourself like you are walking in somebody else's shoes, just to put it on Instagram, just to put it on social media, just to check the box that you did the thing that you were supposed to do, that's still not it. Because while you're in my shoes, if you don't see what I see while I'm in my shoes, then you might well take my shoes off, because you're defeating the purpose. The whole reason to step into somebody else's shoes is to see and experience exactly what and how they're experiencing things. And that goes back into kind of like being heard. If you really want to hear me, you would want to experience and hear why I respond the way I do and what triggers that for me. And until you are willing to do that, then I'm just saying, like, just take my shoes back off. Don't put on if you don't want to do
that. Yeah, don't put shoes on.
So another question. So, because you know, if I'm aware of how bad your experience is, do you think that may cause, some people to not want to understand or not want to step in to somebody else's shoes because they already know how bad that experience is?
That's an interesting perspective. Will I voluntarily take on your position, knowing fully well of the circumstances that come with it?
Yeah. No, go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
I thought T had some sense.
I had a point, but I'm trying to go back to find where I had because I've been watching a lot of stuff. I've been hearing a lot of people talk about it, and I'm not gonna have the quote right or the person right, but I was watching like the show that Michael Strahan has with like Keke Palmer and stuff like that, and they were talking about, they were having a conversation, and she was saying it's this lady, and it was a while ago, and like that, I got to go back to get all the names and stuff right, but she was a white woman, and she was speaking to an audience of white people, and she was saying like, who agrees with the treatment of Black people and how they've been treated. And then she asked, well, who would choose to experience what Black people experience for them mistreatment? And she was like, there's no hand, like nobody want to do that. She was like, okay, so if you're not raising your hand and you know that it's bad, then you acknowledging that it's bad and you don't want to experience it means that you're part of the problem too. And that goes to, we ignore it and we don't want it for ourselves, but it's like, if it's happening to them, it's okay. As long as it's not happening to me. So that's what came with me. Like I said, I had to get her name right and then the setting, but I watched that earlier today too.
Yeah. No, that was a good point. Because you can instantly get the visual. And then I think of the bystander effect. Everybody, we should know what the bystander effect is, but bystander effect if something's going on, negative, and people are around and they see it and they do nothing to intervene or change, then they're watching because everybody in the mind say, well, somebody else is going to jump in and do something to make some change. But in reality, no one jumps in. That everybody's waiting on somebody else to make the change. And I think there's a lot of bystanders around. They see all the things that are going on, and some people wait for other people to join, get in. But change happens, one person at a time, and everybody, doing their part. And so I always say, be the change you want to see in your world. Be the change you want to see in the world, but you got to do your part too. You can't wait for somebody else to be the change. You got to do stuff that you feel compelled to do as well. Because if you don't, everybody's waiting to start and nobody's intervening to make this change. And then, like I said, this is something that everybody has to do. So this not a one, this not just Black people need to do this. All races need to be involved in, focusing on change, because guess what? We're experiencing it, but somebody else is going to experience this too. And so you're going to want people to be there for you. So we have to all be together and focusing on, this positive change, and not, remain silent and be part of the problem. It's never too late to be part of the solution. And so being part of the solution is now.
Yeah. So somebody actually had the name. So her name was Jane Elliott.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jane Elliott. That was her name.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So one thing, and I kind of wrote some stuff down earlier about equity versus equality. And so we hit on a few things. So we talked about like walking in somebody else's shoes, listening to hear. But the other perspective is, I think with equity, you have to discuss the disparities. And I think with equality, we're saying if everybody's equal, then there's no disparities. But if you're looking for equity, you're understanding that there are disparities, and then you're trying to build things for those disparities.
Mm-hmm.
And we all have experienced or we've witnessed the disparities, in our communities or the work that we've done. Like I said, if you've been involved in the school system or in the education field, the disparities. We've seen the disparities. Even being therapists and working with schools and teachers and principals and students and all that kind of stuff. But like we've been talking about, if you now know the disparities, you can't act like they don't exist anymore. And you have to start designing things to tackle those disparities. Like, so we know what disparities in policing, in prison, in just all different areas. So now it's okay, what disparity do I feel like I can assist with? Because that's kind of the start point for everybody. It's not that what I do or my first step has looked like somebody else's, but it's something that I have a lot more experience in or knowledge about, that it is a disparity that I can start working towards or being part of the solution with. So I think it starts with our, like we had said before, it kind of starts at home, but also it starts where our sphere of influence is. So whatever areas that we can influence, we start there and the disparities there, and then go forward.
You might as well say it, Jeffrey.
Okay, so how would you address the disparities and not have it feel like that is taken away from you also.
That's a good point.
I mean, because you can address it, like that, but I just feel like, if you did, it'll feel like, okay, something's been taken away from me at the same time, when in all actuality it's not. But how do you keep them feeling that way?
Are you talking like energy wise?
No.
Are you talking about if you fighting for somebody else's equity, then you feel like losing something? Okay. I think that will speak more into feeling like you have to take sides, or you entering in to kind of advocate for somebody else that doesn't look like you, means that I'm trying to think of the way I can say this. So just because you're trying to now be more of an advocate or ally for somebody that may not look like you, it doesn't mean that your day-to-day experience is not your experience either. I think most people think they have to choose between one or the other, or saying like, because my experience is not like that, then I can't do anything because I can't fully relate. And I don't think any of us can fully relate to anyone's full experience, but it's moving towards that, or having more of those conversations inform us about the gaps that we have or the blind spots that we have. So I think that's how you can balance that out, because I have to come in trying to inform myself and not saying that I have the solution. I might have some tools that can be assistant, but I still need to listen when I'm in that space too, because I'm still bringing my experience into that environment. If that makes sense. I'm trying to.
No, it makes sense.
Okay. You look like you have a follow-up question. So like,
yeah, he been having a bunch of questions.
Then I won't say I'm trying to let him loose today.
Yeah.
Nah, I didn't have a follow-up.
Okay. Yeah, I think just overall, everybody is searching for an answer. I don't think it's one answer. I think it's who will allow themselves to be answers to a lot of these questions. So I think we are the answers, and how we go from this point forward, the questions will be answered by our actions.
Yeah.
And not from a ABCD plan of action.
Yeah.
Because I think our contributions will create the solutions. But I think we're waiting for the solution to come, it won't come.
Yeah, I definitely think. Go ahead, Jeff.
No, I'm gonna say, yeah, I can understand that, because it's like, you want the solution to pop out in front of you like right now and go ahead and get everything fixed. But that's where that struggle comes in, because it's like, okay, I don't know the one thing that will fix this whole issue. And so it's kind of like you just it's almost like trial and error. Okay, you have to kind of try different things to see if it'll work. But I don't know. That just that's kind of just where I am right now. It's like, okay, so what can be done?
Mhm.
But I think it's so many layers to it that one simple solution is not going to be it. It's I think it's a whole lot deeper than what most folks realize, and it may just take it's gonna take a while
Yeah.
to get it.
I think people gotta start to take action, and so action is doing the work. So it go back to trial and error. You won't know what's your piece in the puzzle or what works for you into making change until you start doing something. And then when you settle in and what feels right for you, that's the piece that you hold on to. Because like I said, if everybody was doing it the same way, then it wouldn't work either. That's why it wasn't intended for everybody to do it the same way. Everybody has different levels or different pieces to the puzzle, and it's only by us coming together and everybody bringing their piece that you see, what it actually looks like. But if nobody gets started, then you got a bunch of pieces missing. And like I said, we definitely need to, start the conversation, and that's what we've been doing over the past few weeks. But then people got to take action, and then it's multiple ways to get a solution. It's not just one way, and we got to quit looking at things um, through foggy lens and think it's one way to solve something, because solve is the wrong word and fix is the wrong word. How can we learn together? How can we, produce the change that we want to see together? Because essentially what we're creating the new normal, and we're creating the changes that we want to see in our society. And that's not going to take one mind. That's going to take millions of minds, and millions of people doing things to see that.
Okay. So I had a question, kind of based on what you just said, and it is for all of us. So if we could construct a new normal and to have it be what we feel like it should be, um, what would it look like? And what piece would we want to be involved in with it?
Put up Nick Hankins' point. I think he had a piece to the answer of what we were saying.
Which one, the first one or the second one?
The second one is
This one?
yes.
Okay.
So I think he got some good points in here. So he said, so limiting terms in Congress, I think that's important. We got to remove a lot of, the things that perpetuate, racism, and we got, I think Thursday we talked about it's okay to renegotiate the terms.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's time to renegotiate a lot of things and make some changes, and not being naive about kind of what's going on. And then we got to hold people accountable. So that's my piece. I know Terrence, you got a piece to add to
it. Okay. I'll let Jeffrey go. I'll be last with mine.
Go ahead, T. I'm still processing, man. Go ahead, man.
You gotta write your answer down for this.
All right. So I would say our efforts to be in the new normal a lot more proactive than reactive. Mm-hmm. One area I would say would be like the school to prison pipeline, really addressing it, because people talk about it. It's all kind of funding around it and all that, but it never does anything, because you might have things that you do in the school, but the prison system as a whole has not changed, or the policing and whatever else. So then that's where it continues to happen. I think that needs to be addressed. I think as far as from a historical standpoint, I think we need to be real transparent of what has happened in the past and not shy away from it and really have that fully documented and put in the forefront, because I think a lot of the history or the cultural aspects of our lives have been erased intentionally. And that's to separate us from our source. And I think that's why a lot of things happen now in the present, because we don't have that connection. Um, I also believe that as far as dialogue, I think dialogue should be not as a reaction, or our voices should be valuable outside of just when things happen to us. I think that's when people want to hear from us, when things happen to us. But other than that, we don't. Our voice is not valued. Um, I believe that um, ownership needs to be taken for the systemic ways that have been put in place to hinder us, uh, and the acknowledgement that that has played a part in why society is where it is today. Um, I'm trying to think about that. Okay, Jeremy, you looking, so you go.
Now that's the, sitting here thinking that's the point that I was gonna hit on. It's like until let's say, I create something that's faulty.
Mm-hmm.
Until I admit that, yeah, I'm the creator of this faulty product,
Right.
nothing's gonna change.
Right.
So until you take a step back and realize I messed up. I created this broken system. I created this faulty product. Until that happens, I can't say anything will change. Because if I know I created a faulty product and I still continue to push it out, I'm not really taking responsibility. I'm just putting it out there and just let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah.
But until it's like, okay, you look at yourself in the mirror and realize, I messed up. I'm the problem. I'm part of the problem.
All right, but so to add on what you were saying, yes, admit that it's faulty, but it's faulty for people that don't look like me. It's not faulty for me. It's faulty for people that don't look like me. That's where the ownership needs to happen. Because if you can do that, now you hearing me, and now you seeing my experience for what it is. That the structure and the systems that we have in place works for a certain portion of America and not all Americans. And it was built like that from the beginning. You know what I'm saying? Like it was built like that. So that's why it's easy to exclude others from the process, because it wasn't built initially for anybody else but the majority.
And then we gotta, be aware of, who we let lead us. When you look at leadership, people have to be the most important component, because at any level of leadership, regardless of how small or how large, you have to remember that you're serving. And so if you're serving as a leader, then people will always be more important than money. People will always be more important than your own agenda. And so I think at all levels of leadership, whether you lead in the church whether you lead the country, whether you leading the business, whatever you're leading, you have to take into consideration the people that you've been given the ultimate, responsibility and position, to safeguard them and take care of them. So I think at all levels, we have to look at that. And then I think we have to, stop being so combative toward one another. And, we have to spend a little bit more time listening. And my grandfather used to always, focus on the word hearken. It means to listen respectively and attentively. It's in the Bible for people that read their Bible. So, look it up, you'll see it. But people don't listen respectfully and attentively. People listen to respond or give a rebuttal. Mm-hmm. And so the whole time I'm listening to what you're saying, I'm thinking about a comeback. And I think we do ourselves and other people a disservice by doing that, because we miss so many chances to join and connect with them. And I always say this all the time. I focus on how to connect with people intentionally instead of, finding ways to disagree with them or to find, holes in what they have going on. Because it doesn't take a lot of craft and intelligence to find what's wrong. It takes no effort at all. Because you can see it. An outside set of eyes can easily see what's wrong. We have to focus on hearing people's heart. And then people really want, to change, helping them along with the process. And I think that's a piece of it.
Okay. I was gonna ask a question, but we had a question that popped up here, and we just talked about this before we got on, so I wanted to put it up.
That's a loaded question. We were, like I said, we were talking about this prior to. So I would say this. I mean, I would have to, see all the ins and out of what people are proposing. I think there needs to be a lot of change. I think there needs to be somebody that keeps police departments accountable nationally, and looks into, the type of, cases they have, the type of things they're involved with, the type of arrests they make, all those type of things. I think somebody has to be accountable nationally, or for that. But I don't know if this banding is the answer. I do think it needs to be a lot of reform. But like, again, in the reform, it has to be a total overhaul. But again, I would have to look more in detail about that, because for me, that wouldn't be my answer just to this ban. I think it needs reform. But like I said, everybody has a perspective. I think it's important to have this dialogue nationally and hear everybody's different perspective to, come up with different solutions.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jeffrey.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, I don't know if that's the answer, honestly. I think it's yeah, I just don't think that's the answer to the problem. But I don't know what the solution could be for that. But I haven't really looked into that, honestly, so I can't really give a intelligent answer on that.
Yeah, I guess for me, when I saw it again, what came to my mind is something that we talked to Dr. Bruce about. Like, if you're doing something, like, what's the so that principle in it? And so it's like if you're gonna do that, if you're gonna disband police department, you're gonna do it so that what would be the outcome that you're looking for? And I think a lot of things that are being done right now are more reactions to what's going on. So it's like I feel like because everything is going on, I need to do something. So let's do something. Let's do something that, but you still have to assess. So I guess that would be more the piece that I would look at. Like, do you know what issues and concerns are in your police department? Because you need to assess those, and then just like we were talking about disparities before, now you need to build things around those disparities that you see that you do have in your police department.
Yeah.
Because I think just having a reaction to it and trying to do something doesn't mean that it's the right something.
Yeah. But all the police forces aren't inherently bad, but like I said, whatever change or reform is gonna happen, it has to be methodical. It has to be a strategic plan. And like Terrence said, we don't need reactive plans. We need proactive plans. So we can't wait till stuff gets so bad and then react. We got to be proactive. And like I said, we got to look at this on a yearly or every 3 year, level, because that way you're getting ahead when you get in front of what's happening, and you're not waiting this thing spiral out of control to make change. And so, like I said, I mean, I'm curious to constantly hear what people are gonna, put out and what information, they're gonna produce in regards to it. But, I don't think it's as simple as that. I think it's multiple layers, and we got to have a strategic, plan, not just a simple plan. Hey, let's just disband or defund.
Okay. All right. So I had one last question, I guess, since we're almost to the end of our time, and it goes back to like the pain points. So I guess, and I ask it just us individually, like, what's the main issue or issues regarding what's been going on that hurt you the most? Like, if you could put it into words, what have been the things that have hurt that made you want to have a reaction?
I think just seeing all the pain that people are experiencing, seeing all the emotion people are experiencing, and people won't change, but they don't necessarily, know how to, make it happen, and so people are just compelled to do something. But like I said, last weekend, I said I was full. It's just I could feel all the pain and hurt that people were experiencing, and so it was hard for me to watch a lot of TV and be on social media a lot, because in being in this profession, it's easy for me to draw to people's pain, and like I said, I had to disconnect from it for me. And so I think that's the hurting piece for me, and the challenging piece is, man, how do you help all these people that's out there hurting with it? So that's my piece for it. How can I help all these people that's dealing with what they're doing? And I think part of what we're doing today is having a conversation about these things, and talking about having real discussions about what's on people's hearts and minds, and not minimizing their experiences, telling them that we're going to be with them through their experiences. If I wish this could reach 1 million people, to let them know that we're here for them and their experiences, and how can we be of service.
Yeah, and I just think the unwillingness to understand, what somebody is going through, because you see that a lot, and just the comments and stuff that's online, it just not wanting to understand or to, sympathize with, what's going on. And then another thing is just the overall, narrative and propaganda that's out there to cause us to be divisive. Because I just think like, man, a couple of months ago we was all in this together during the COVID pandemic, but now it's like, okay, that's over. So, let's find some kind of way to divide us. So I guess that's one of the things that, kind of hurt me, because at one point, I guess on the surface we were together, we were fighting the same thing. But now, that's, well, I may not be over with, but the focus has changed, and now it's like it just constantly dividing us.
For me, it's been a lot of things. But one of the main things is as far as value and worth. I think that's the thing that's hurt me the most. Is I feel that as Black people, we always have to prove why we're valuable and prove why we should exist with everybody else. And so it's always, and I think, Kendi, you said this Friday when we talked about the booth, is like, I felt the hurt I felt is like never fully feeling embraced by America. And then what Kendrick said, he was like, even if we are embraced, it has conditions to it. So it's still not a full embrace. It's an embrace if you do A, B, C, D, and not just for us as a whole. The other piece is that part of the hurt is knowing that some people still won't get it and they don't want to get it. But if it was their child, their son, their brother, their husband, they would feel and think differently. But it's always a condition attached to something happening to us. What we were doing with our background, they got to do a whole background search on us when we get killed. And it's crazy. Even to say that and hear that back is crazy. But that's what happened. Like, that's literally what happened. Like, somebody kills us, and then we want drugs, or we want this, or like a laundry list of things to discredit our presence.
Yeah.
And one thing, and I wrote it down a little bit right before we got on there. I just write some stuff on the whiteboard. But I think this is the other hurting point too. Is like, for the most part, people monetize our melanin, like our skin. So they make money off of our skin, but they persecute our presence. And so it doesn't matter me, like, for my skin, you like what I do and all that kind of stuff, but you don't really want me. You don't want my presence. You won't want my presence brings. You want to monetize my presence, but me showing up can get me persecuted. And that's the most hurting part to it.
Yeah, you said a mouthful. I was about to get you to repeat what you said.
Oh, you want me to say it again?
Yeah, I was about to get you. I was about to say it, but I ain't going to cut you off, because I think people need to hear that again.
Yeah, but I what I said was, people monetize my melanin, but persecute my presence.
Yeah,
and that's our daily experience.
Yeah, I definitely think we got to think deeper about some of these things, because we do a lot of storytelling when we, one-on-one, or when we talk to each other, and sharing some of the stories, allowing people to share some of their stories is important. But yeah, you hit the nail, on the head. I think we definitely just got to be compassionate, and know, that we don't need to have conditions with, being embraced. Is just, it's all of me, you know, or none of me. And I think, people are at that point. You either want all of me or you don't want any of me. And that's why a lot of people are, compelled to, do anything. I saw a lot of beautiful, protesting on Facebook this weekend, from, Corinth, Starkville, Jackson, and Gulfport. I saw the pictures. And I was at drill this weekend, and I was like, and I called, Terrence. I was like, when I was driving back, I was like, man, that was really good to see so many people coming together to be part of the solution. And I was like, that's beautiful. And I said, people, we in the shift right now. It's change that's happening, but we just gotta see it through. Not we can see things starting to happen and stop. We got to see it through to make a better world, for everybody. And I think that's what's important.
Yeah. So, like Jefferson, this your conversation.
Yeah,
because we are having this conversation because of you. So, how would you want to end this conversation today?
Yeah, me and Terrence not in it today, Jeffrey.
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know, man. This is, I don't know. It's just like, everyone just have to take, self inventory, and I don't know, man. It's such a heavy thing that it just I can't I don't know how to end it, man. I don't because it's so many layers, man. I just don't know which way to go.
Yeah,
I don't know which way to go.
Maybe it need to be continued, T.
We like to have these 2-point conversations, so there's nothing wrong with that. So, I guess with that in mind, we would like to welcome everybody to continue the conversation with us on Thursday. And if you haven't been, one, if you're not a part of our Take the Journey group, please get connected to it. Let me go to my little banner and put it up. I have it scrolling. All right, so that's the link. Is scrolling down at the bottom now. Definitely become a part of the group, because we do have a lot more in-depth conversations. So even though this has kind of been a heavier conversation, we really get deeper into topics on our Thursday lives that we do in the group, and we have a lot more interaction with the people in the group, and then they come on and talk directly with us on screen. And that's and like you just be blown away by some of the comments and responses and just kind of perspective people have in the group. Like we sometimes we just sit back and just let people go because they'll bring a different perspective, a different light on things that we won't even think about. So we really enjoy it. We learn a lot. A lot of people they bring their journals ready for Thursday to take notes. We take notes because we feel like none of us have all the answers. But I think, I got mine right here. But we all have pieces or solutions for other people.
Yeah.
And so the more that we share our experiences or what we know or what we feel like we have to offer, the more that collectively we can progress. And that's at the core of what our progress is and wants to be, and continue to push forward to being, is an environment where one person can improve themselves in order to influence and improve and empower other people. So it's just like
That's a word right there.
but that, I mean, that like go back to the ripples is like we want to put things out there that can cause ripples that reach far beyond even just a Facebook Live or whatever else. We want to have things that impact and resonate with people, even after the initial saying has been said or service has been rendered. So,
and then I want to add the last question to people on Thursday. Since this is going to be a continued conversation, what do you want to do? And then you can tell us on Thursday, and that'll be part of you joining the conversation. Since we're going to continue this, tell us what do you want to do?
That's a word there too. That's look at that.
But yeah, and I also want to thank everybody that made a comment today, because there was some very good comments, some different perspectives on things. So yeah, we just really appreciate everyone tuning in and leaving us your comments and your thoughts, because most of them was very thought provoking. So we really do appreciate that.
Yeah.
So that ends it for us today. I said it was a great conversation, and I said we're happy that we got a lot of new faces today. A lot of people in the comments and new for our regular Mondays.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's been great. So I'm not gonna keep talking because we can all keep the conversation. We can close for 10 minutes. So
yeah.
Wow. Hey, did you see that? Nick, he's in Japan and it's 3 a.m. over there.
Anyway, Nick, we definitely thank you for checking in.
Yeah.
And we appreciate your comments because they were, definitely good information.
Yeah, definitely was. All right. So we thank you and we will see you on Thursday. Join the Take the Journey group if you haven't, and invite some people to the conversation, invite people to the group. I know some of you have been doing it. We thank you for those of you that's been, we got some some invitation all-stars that invite herds of people to the and bring 30, 40, 50 people to the group. So so we appreciate it.
All right. We'll definitely see y'all on Thursday.
Okay.
All right.